So moving on to another Indiana story, I wanted to look at a little closer here. And Josh, this one's right in your neighborhood. So both Allen County and Hamilton County are weighing switching from precinct-based voting to vote centers on election day. And so nearly 73%, that's 67 of Indiana's 92 counties, are already using voting centers. This is according to Secretary of State Diego Morales' office. Marion County, that's Indianapolis, made the switch in 2018. So up in Allen County, the election board is reconsidering, a plan for 39 vote centers. So the election officials on Friday said they were confident 39 polling places would be enough to handle Allen County, but voters urged board members to consider more locations if they decide to switch. The Allen County Election Board has proposed replacing 110 polling places on Election Day with less than 40 vote centers that would accept all registered Allen County voters instead of only those who live in a specified geographic area.
Okay.
So, yeah, the way these vote centers work is the problem you run into on voting day, or the most common problem you run into on voting day, is people go to the wrong precinct because
Yeah.
they've moved or they didn't update their voter registration or something or another. So with these vote centers, well, you can go to anyone in the county and vote wherever you are, near your home, near your work, while you're running errands, whatever. So the Allen County problem here is not necessarily that there's going to be less physical locations than there had been. But so when Indianapolis reduced its number of polling places to go with vote centers, they reduced the number of polling places total by less than 1%. In Allen County, the local board has proposed cutting about 64% of
Hmm.
places to vote. Now, in Hamilton County, right there in Josh's neck of the woods, um, they're also planning to implement vote centers. There, county officials are proposing 52, less than half of the number of polling locations open during the most recent election. The switch would allow the county to hire fewer poll workers. Currently, you need about 5 to 700, but with the with the proposal, it would only be about 4 to 500. Josh, what are folks in Hamilton County saying that you're hearing?
Yeah, so they had their first public hearing on this week, and I actually went and spoke at it. Because as the chair of the Hamilton County Democrats, I appoint one of the uh, people that are on the election board. Vote centers in general can be a good idea. The devil's in the details. So I
Yep.
will tell you specifically to Hamilton County, although there would be half as many vote centers, they're actually proposing more voting machines.
Okay.
So basically, you go through and look at the map. Um, Even though Hamilton County is very populated, it's basically in the bottom half. The northern half is much more sparsely populated, much more rural, and but they're not long distances from anywhere. You had a lot of polling locations where there was not hardly any line, and somewhere there's literally no line, right? And so I think inherently it sounds like, oh, less voting locations, that's a bad idea. But I know in Hamilton County, like I said, it's going to mean more voting, actual voting machines. Now, I will say my concern, and I did voice this, and they talk about this, is our current election administrator and our current clerk are actual like responsible Republicans. They're from an old breed of like Republicans that cared about democracy, right? And so some of the discretion that would be left to them, you know, the current the clerk and the current election administrator, I trust them, right? My concern is that if you move to voting centers and there's too much discretion left to a clerk or election administrator, and down the line when these election deniers gets in, and all of a sudden they go and they look at the voting center that has the most Democrats, and all of a sudden there's only one voting machine there, and the ones that have the most Republicans have 20. So vote centers, just theoretically, I think, are usually a good thing. I looked at the numbers, and it would appear that most places uh, the percentage of people that actually go and vote on election day does increase when they move to vote centers. So I think it's a net positive. We just have to make sure. I mean, it's something you never had to used to worry about, right? But now it is something you have to keep an eye out for, that there's not the chance for it to be abused in the future.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and I think that was one of the concerns up in Allen County specifically, was that southeast Allen County, which is the historically minority portion of Fort Wayne. Now there's less vote centers there,
Right.
so you can see how this could be abused potentially. Derek, how do you guys do it in Morgan County?
Well, we just hitch up our horses and go anywhere we want. It's vote centers. It's vote centers here in Morgan. They switched maybe 3 elections ago. So,
Yeah,
Do you like it, Derek?
oh yeah, love it because I can go to any of them in the county, and just vote from there. Made it super easy last year when I was running for Congress. I could just stop in, vote, and then go somewhere else. So,
yeah.
um,
How about you, Tracy? Are you guys up in Lake County on vote centers or no?
No. We still have our, precincts. If we do, we have early voting centers. Most of them you can, and you can go anywhere during the early voting. So your early votes will count no matter where you go. But after that, you are required to go to your local precinct. I love this idea, but refresh me, folks. Like, so the regulations about who determines where they're placed, how they're staffed, how many machines there are, what resources are allocated to voting centers. These are all handed on a county by county level currently.
Yeah, county election
Yes.
boards. Yeah,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
which are all which are all bipartisan, I believe. Here in
I
Monroe
see.
County, yeah, we
uh,
just we're up for this. I want to say this spring, talking about it. The Republican on the board here vetoed it
to be
because it has to be
honest,
unanimous.
I am because this is something that potentially increases voting access. I'm surprised that no one on the state level has, unless I'm just not paying attention, has tried to push this initiative down. Um, because the ability to say you can't vote because you're in the wrong precinct is a lovely way of suppressing votes, particularly because there's a certain cohort of people that are more likely to vote blue, that I think that we could reasonably infer that they would be impacted more. Mm.
Yeah, you do make a good point. Voter suppression has been like the key tactic of Indiana Republicans for, boy, the last going on 20 years now.